No, I got to lean in.
What is going on, everybody? It is us again, your favorite biased Real Housewives New Jersey people. And we're here to talk about the latest episode of the Real Housewives New Jersey, season 13. It is the last time we're going to be talking about this season because this is part 3 of the reunion. I'm so grateful. We're wearing all black tonight because Sammy said you're ready to dead some shit. And so with that being said, welcome. Go ahead and get comfortable, have fun. It's gonna be a fun night. Probably chaotic, but hey, it's the last one, and we're going out with the bang. Danny, how are you today?
I'm ready. I'm sitting on ready.
Jamie, how are you?
All I gotta say, if Chase, Tonio, or Jasmine come at me sideways, they getting cussed out on this live. I'm done playing nice with them. You getting cussed out, Jasmine. I see you kikiing in the comments.
Okay. Well, I'll say the most hype for last. Sammy, how are you? I like that change.
Thank you.
I'm
feeling like Louis. I'm ready to play.
Okay. Good. All on the MJ.
Oh my God!
As you guys know, this is the last episode, so we're gonna try our best to get through it as fast as possible. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the link in the chat because we're gonna be taking calls throughout the entire night. But it's not just about calling in. Tonight is our fan debate. So when you call in, you're going to be paired with a person, whether you're Team Teresa or Team Melissa. When you get on, you will be asked a question and the debate will begin. So it will go in a very organized way. If you get rowdy, I will take you out the live. Okay? Just let you know. And that goes for anybody.
Okay, host included.
Anybody
can get it.
But it's going to be fun. So with that being said, like this video, subscribe to the channel, as I always say. And let's go ahead and get into the recap. Thank you guys for all the comments. And let us know where you're calling from. Where you're watching from, whether live or recap. Shout out to everybody. It's Tuesday. Let's get into it. All right. So last week, we ended up where I don't even want to end up at. Let's talk about this week. So the husbands come out, and I'm just going to say, I'll ask you guys first. What did y'all feel about this part 3? Of all 3 parts, what was your favorite part? And where does this part sit amongst the 3?
This part was draining, but it was entertaining, I guess you can say. I think part 2 is probably still going to be my favorite because it was a little bit lighter and it didn't piss me off as much as tonight. But I mean, it was good. I give it a solid. I give it a 9.
Okay, Danny.
I know initially I said part 1 was the most boring to me. But after seeing all 3 of them, part 1 has become my favorite because I was the least strained by it. I give this one about an 8.5.
Okay. Jamie, and welcome back, Jamie. You weren't here last week, so you missed the craziness.
I needed a fucking break from y'all. I needed a goddamn break.
I
should have taken this week off because my God, y'all be pairing me with people. This episode was very entertaining. But I am so glad it's the last one. We got to recap till next year.
Okay. Come on, Team Marge coming through. He said he ain't nobody. No, not Team Melissa or Troy. Team Marge. Okay.
I'm glad she ain't had much to say today.
A very lonely team, JP. I don't know. But hey, listen. Maybe you can make more of that. All right. So to talk about this episode, as I said, the husbands come on. And the first thing they've asked of Joe Gorga is that, how is he? And they talk about the men's calendar. The calendar was a big thing in this season. I guess they tried to make it more. I remember when it came out, it was a talk of a lot at the time. But then they immediately asked Louis about the comment that him wearing their father's pajamas, and he says it came out wrong. He said he apologizes and says that Joe says he doesn't believe it. He feels like because every time he says anything, he screws him over. And he talks about his relationship with Teresa, saying that basically he felt like when she got out of prison, they talked more. They did a whole lot of things together. And Teresa immediately says, no, it's because of filming. And as Joe and Teresa starting to go back and forth with it, because Joe is like, why are you saying that? Why are you saying that? Melissa interjects, and Teresa tells her to shut the fuck up. He tells basically that, she's having a conversation with her brother. And, this is the first time they go back and forth. And so they're kind of making these statements of Melissa says, well, this is my husband. And Teresa said, well, that's my brother. And so before I get into it, I want to ask you guys, through it all, does one trump the other? In fact, Melissa, in terms of like, Like with as
Spouse
far
and
as
brother.
brother versus husband in this case.
I mean, husband trumps that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in this situation, no, because the conversation and the subject was between brother and sister. Melissa was not asked a question. Melissa was not brought up in the conversation. She continued to insert herself. So I really don't like that lady. I do not like that lady at fucking all. Oh my God. If I never have to see that fake Latina lady on my screen again,
You might
I will
not.
be entirely happy.
That's what this black is for. This is her. I'm not gonna say homegoing, but going away. Because Mother Jersey said she ain't bringing her ass. We don't have to look at that face no more. And I
Which
feel like
face? Which one?
The seven
the
noses.
newest one. The newest one.
Season 6 through 40 is the face I don't want to see.
I know that, Jamie, you say that, in this instance, brother and sister. To me, still, it don't matter what the situation is. My spouse I'm gonna go for my spouse over family every time.
Okay, and you can, but don't insert yourself when the conversation didn't involve you, because you're just making it worse. She escalated so many things.
I agree with Jamie.
Man, that's her intent.
I do feel like she did it a lot, interjected herself a lot to where, Danny made it more comfortable for Teresa to do it later in the show. So I feel like she's more justified in it because Melissa was always allowed to interject and she never was shushed up. She really was not really. I mean, I think somebody else on the side was kind of like, that's his brother. I'm sorry, that's her brother and things like I don't know who said that, but somebody was basically like Melissa, like let them.
I think it was Danielle.
It was somebody, yeah, somebody on the side.
Danielle.
Okay, but outside of that, Joe just basically said she needs to chill and that she's ruining herself. Louis kind of gets involved and says no, she's not ruining herself. She's trying to defend her case. And Teresa says that they are gaslighting her in this moment. So I want to ask you guys, do you guys feel like they were gaslighting her? I mean, that's probably I don't even know if she know what gaslight really means because
she learned that word and she didn't bother to learn
the
definition.
In this case, I will say before I pass to you guys, I felt like Teresa's well in her right to be upset at whatever is going on. However she feels, her feelings are valid to an extent to her own. So she is, and I wish Melissa wouldn't play that role. I think we talked about it in part 1 where she's playing this victim type role and kind of like, why are you acting like that? Why are you? In my mind, she was gaslighting her. She was actually making the situation worse. But what are you guys' thoughts? I'll start with you, Sammy.
I don't know who gave my girl the book and told her about the word gaslighting, but to me, she used it in the right way. They sit over there and they play the game like they were speaking about. Remember, I don't know, it was the first part or the second part when she was saying y'all didn't invite me anywhere, and because she got caught up in the pictures, everybody was like, she's lying. She just couldn't articulate it right. As soon as Joe came out there, well, you were going out with other people, and we weren't going with you in the singles, so y'all weren't inviting her anywhere. The girl was not lying. She said exactly what she said, and Melissa knew that, but she ran with it. Gaslighting Teresa because Teresa can't articulate well. Teresa knew what she was saying, and they knew what she was saying, but Joe came out there and confirmed it. That's another thing they debunked. What pissed me off, and I will say when Melissa told Teresa, well, you just told us you were done with us. She didn't say that. She said she was done with your ass. You came out there and you tossed Joe in there, and Teresa being caught up in her emotions and being pissed off, she ran with it because at this point, yes, now it's fuck both of y'all. But she never said anything about Joe when she was getting into it with Melissa. Melissa knew exactly what she was doing. She's been poking and picking, and when Joe came out there, it kind of, I guess, gave her some extra ammunition to go at Teresa and pick with her. But Melissa, Teresa told them, y'all been dragging me through the mud for 10 years. Regardless, let's just keep it a buck. Even if Teresa did know that they were coming on the show, if they didn't sneak on the show behind her back, which they did, y'all came on the show and y'all were on terrible terms. So what was the outcome you were hoping for? We know it was not to reconcile because that very first episode, y'all were calling her garbage and acting a fool. So what was the purpose to come on the show? To make Teresa look bad, to drag Teresa down, and that's why she's been on y'all ass the way she has been these 10 years. And for them to sit there and play like they just don't get it is stupid.
Jamie?
No, she was not gaslighting her. Gaslighting is to emotionally manipulate somebody and to question their own perception of reality or their recollection of certain events. This woman was blatantly instigating. She was blatantly picking at her. She was being condescending as hell. She was doing that fake nice bullshit to where it makes it look like she is innocent and completely hands free of Teresa's anger, which I mean, she's not playing it very well because Melissa herself is wholly unlikable. So is Teresa. Like, I'm not going to be giving y'all a whole lot. I'm not either team. Both of these ladies are just really nasty, vile people, and every scene played out on who can just be nastier to the other person, and it wasn't enjoyable to watch.
The only thing I can say about this whole thing is, Teresa, keeps reiterating the fact that they would never call her, would never go, invite her to go out to eat or nothing. And they keep saying, we call her all the time, we do this. But Melissa was caught saying this publicly to a TMZ paparazzi that they don't talk unless they're filming. I mean, you said it yourself, Melissa. So what did Teresa lie about there? So.
She said that verbatim too. We don't meet outside of
it. It's verbatim. It's verbatim.
So
okay. Well, I was going to go ahead and get the debate started, but we need someone from Team Trey to call in for it to be a debate. I do see the person that's in the back for Team Melissa, but until then, I can't start it because it has to be
Team Melissa getting ready to get beat up by
Team Melissa's waiting. God. We need somebody from Team Trey.
I'll be Team Teresa. I'll be Teresa's advocating.
No,
I mean, I can do it. If nobody shows up, I don't mind.
Hold on, let me see. I think we got somebody. We got a match. Y'all ready?
Right.
Okay.
All right, so hold on one second. We doing something new here. Hold on. All right.
Oh, job. Teresa.
Oh, girl.
All right. Demisio and Sean.
How dare you, Danny, do me like that?
Wait a minute. Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
After y'all. Okay.
So.
Hold on, Sean.
No, I'm getting ready to say. So how we gonna do this? We get a minute to say what we need.
You gonna let me explain
it down?
Okay.
All right. So we have come up with questions that we're going to ask you guys, and you guys are going to answer from your own perspective, depending your style, however we want to do it. Somebody's echoing. I don't know who it is. Look at you, Sean. But yeah, basically, I'm going to put the question up. You're going to answer the question from your side, and then debate it again. That's it. The time limit. We have the time. Hey, we're gonna go from there. Okay.
It's Sean's phone echo whenever you talk.
You got an echo, baby.
What do I need to do?
Are you on two devices?
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at my TV, but that's on mute, and I'm on my phone.
Maybe if you press mute when the other person is talking, and then unmute it when you talk. That will help.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? All right. So the first question is, who is responsible for the issue at hand? I repeat, it's on the screen. If you can't see it, who is responsible for the issue at hand? Sean, since you called in first, you're gonna go first, and we can go now. Go ahead.
I believe Teresa is the issue because she never liked Melissa from the beginning.
Okay. That's all you got?
Oh, they never liked each other from the beginning when he first started dating. And she turned her mother against her because it was a scene where they was getting their nails done. Both of them was talking about Melissa behind her back. So this is an ongoing thing. So they never liked her from the beginning. So it was never going to work from the beginning. They was never sisters. She got some weird obsession with her brother.
Okay. Demisio?
I think personally that.
All right, go ahead, Demisio.
I think personally it's Melissa that's the problem because at the end of the day, who goes on the show to come after their sister-in-law? And let's take out the fact that even though we all know that she came on the show and was calling producers, let's take that out of the equation. You still knowingly came on a show to fight with your sister-in-law, because what else did you think was going to happen coming on that show knowing that y'all have not gotten along in all this time, and then you think, oh, you're going to magically come on the show and everything is going to be peaches and cream? And she even tried to fake the funk. She even tried to fake the funk with them on the first episode of season 3 during the christening, and they still started talking shit and started a whole problem at a baby's christening. So let's see who's the real problem here, and the damn sure is not Teresa.
Sean, do you have a rebuttal?
if Teresa would have called them before the show started and had a conversation instead of come trying to be fake when they knew they had an issue and they knew the producers wanted them on the show because it was drama, it was families. The Loritas and the Manzos were a whole family and they were the other family. Wow, that was a producer's dream to have them on there, to have drama. But they
So
should have had a
Teresa has to
conversation
call them
before the
about
Christmas.
coming on her show. Make it make sense.
It's Bravo show. It's whatever Bravo wanted.
Teresa
They
is New
made the
Jersey.
show how they wanted it. They wanted it family, their family. But Teresa tried to sabotage it before they even got on the show because she told everybody not to talk to them, not to film with them. But then the Manzos, they started liking Joe. That's when she turned on them because they didn't see what Teresa was telling them. Tried to make them out to be villains and taint them from the beginning.
Again, Teresa was supposed to call them to come on a show that revolves around her. Doesn't make sense.
It's not Teresa's show. It's Bravo.
It
That's who
definitely
they
is
wanted.
Teresa's
That's who they
show.
picked. They like Joe, so they got him on the show.
And that's why they're gone. 'Cause it's the
And Teresa
show.
don't own the show. Y'all keep saying it's Teresa's show.
It is
No,
Teresa's
it's
show.
Bravo's
It's
show.
And it revolves around Teresa and her life and her friends. That was the whole point of the show from the beginning.
It surrounded around the Manzos and the Loritas.
Well,
She was just a friend.
Teresa, not the Menzos or the Loritas.
Like I said, it was Bravo's show. They wanted the drama. They got the drama. They gave them a good show because of that christening stuff and plus the Danielle stuff. That's what put Jersey on the map. So it's all they show. It's an ensemble show
Revolving around Teresa.
Oh, girl.
Okay. Well, listen. At that rate, you guys can call back in. You can call back in. We'll let the viewers decide who won that debate based off of what evidence y'all presented, and we're gonna continue with the show. Okay. But it was definitely interesting. I will say. I see comments in the chat, and we'll speak on it too. Okay. All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye, y'all.
All right.
Scram, honey, because that echo is killing me.
It was. I don't know what the echo is. We got to know. Okay. Do y'all have any comments on any of that before we move forward with that review?
I'm gonna say this. Yeah, I will. I'm gonna say this. Sean is correct. It is Bravo's show, but we're not gonna sit here and act crazy like each franchise doesn't have one person that is the literal face of the show. There is no disputing whether you like her or not that Teresa is the face of Jersey. That's all I gotta say. We can move on.
Well, I mean, we've even said in our group chat that Andy and Bravo like Melissa and Joe, or else they would have been gone years ago. So as much as Teresa is the face of Jersey, obviously the Gorgas are very well liked by production and by Bravo, or else they would have been gone when Teresa threatened to quit the show years ago because of it. Bravo is pitting both of these people together because just like Sean said, it's driving ratings. So to say it's Teresa's show is factually incorrect because she has
no factual
when it comes to casting. She is a fan favorite. It is not her show.
I just said every franchise has a face, though. She's the face of Jersey, whether they like the Gorgas or not. That's not disputable.
The Gorgas been there harassing that lady for 10 years.
Is Teresa's been asking to leave and they won't let her. When she did have to leave involuntarily, they stopped all the production. And then when her sister and brother are there, all they can do is speak on her. When it comes to the question, I liked both Teresa and Melissa. I did not become team Teresa until last year when they were playing with her. When that one scene which they were talking about Louis and Teresa texted Melissa and said, please stop, quit discussing this. She ran her ass out there and read that text message to the group. At that point, Melissa it was her true color show. She was never about reconciliation. She was never solution oriented. She wanted to pick with Teresa. And that's when I said, screw Gorga. I'm riding over here with Trey.
Okay.
And it's not simulcast, yes, but it's the Teresa show.
I will say shout out to Demetrio and Sean for getting out here and doing it respectfully, though. I will say that.
That was nice to see.
That was good. So for anyone that's going to call in, use it as a model. They make it right. I don't know, but
they were more polite than we are to each other.
Yes, they were. Okay, so let's move on.
Being polite.
And like I said, the link is in the
Sammy
chat.
be
The link
bullying
is in the
me.
chat. You guys can join at all times throughout the night. We can do like a final thoughts at the end, but try to go ahead and get in if you haven't already. There are a lot of y'all in the chat, very opinionated. So I suggest this is the last time we're going to be talking about this for at least over a year because they are taking a long pause, and I'm so glad. All right. So part 2, the husbands are still there. They talk about Paulie and Frank's relationship. They're in a good place. They talk about Bill in the pool house. Apparently, he's not in the pool house all night. I will say, watching the show, it did sound like he got off work at 5 o'clock and he was there to 8 o'clock in the morning. That's what it sounded like to me, but it was clear that it wasn't. The link is in the chat, guys. So just join the queue, and then I'll bring you in after the next conversation. Paulie talks about getting married. And apparently, it seems like sometimes he don't want to get divorced. I don't know. It sounds weird. Like he plays around with that because everybody knows you gotta get divorced to get married, but I don't know, maybe he was just playing. But then they go into conversation about Frankie working with Louis, and Dolores says that he got a new job, and that's just that. Well, Joe Gorga is just like, that's not what I heard, And Joey turns to Louis and asks him to spill what happened. Louis asks for Joey to spill what happened, but Dolores is like, we're not going to talk about my child. We're not going to talk about Frankie. And you can see she's kind of getting uncomfortable. She's actually kind of upset about it. So I think her whole move, I feel like she's about to go off. I don't know, but she kind of held it together. Paul is rubbing her back or whatever. And Joey says, well, listen, I talk to Frankie all the time, and he tells me things, and he said that it was something more. And Dolores like, listen, we ain't never had a problem. I don't want to have a problem. Let it go. She don't want to talk about it. And so I want to ask you guys, do y'all feel like something was there? Like, do y'all feel like maybe there's more to it? Do you like somebody's being protected? I don't know. Part of me feels like, okay, maybe there was something. I don't think Joey is lying. But I just don't think that. I think Dolores wants to keep it away from the cameras, to keep it from there because it's her child. She's more protective of that. But I feel like something did happen. But she seems to, whatever it was, it obviously wasn't negative because she's still very supportive of Louis. She still is turning to him like, thank you for the job. Mad about it. So then again, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe something didn't happen. I don't know. Give me your thoughts on that. I'll start with you, Danny.
I think there's a little bit more to it. However, I think that Dolores is right in not wanting to have it discussed because she doesn't want her son dragged into the Louis and Joe Gorga mess. Joe Gorga is more excited to bring it up than his parents. I mean, Frankie's doing it because Frank is going to bring it up because he's Joe Gorga's cheerleader, so of course he's going to do that. But Dolores doesn't want her son dragged into their mess, and for the Gorgas to be so pro, don't talk about children. No matter what age someone is, they're still your child. So it's okay to bring that up in just because he's an adult, but that's still their child. So don't put stipulations on what a child can and can't be brought into some mess.
Part of me
I do think there's something else there.
Part of me thinks perhaps that little Frank maybe didn't leave on the best terms. He did get a new job. He did maybe it just wasn't a good fit for whatever reason. They're obviously still tight. Frank and Louis hang out. There was some photos on Instagram where they're still going to events and stuff. So I think Joe Gorga is just picking at this, trying to make it a bigger deal to kind of get see, Louis not loyal to anybody. I don't really give a shit about what Joe Gorga says. I'm more disappointed that Frank was co-signing the mess and not if he sees Dolores saying, I don't want my child talked about it, why Frank as a man who is so interested in inserting himself in Dolores's business didn't in that moment insert himself and say, Joe, it's dead. We're done talking about this.
Okay. It was annoying to me to see how it was clear that Frank wasn't going to say anything unless it was mentioned. And then once he said, he just doesn't work anymore, then Joe Gorga, well, what happened? And trying to push the story out there. It's like you can tell that they got together before this reunion and said they got all this stuff on Louis, and that they're just gonna spill it out and try to make him and Teresa look terrible. For them to, like Danny said, to not want kids mentioned, but they were really pushing for Frank to tell their story, despite Dolores being very clear that she didn't want it to be said. What I will say is I do think something happened. I don't know. Initially, I thought, okay, maybe something did happen where Louis didn't reach out to Frankie, but the way that Dolores was very defensive about it, even what stuck out to me was when Andy asked Louis what happened, and Dolores turned, and Paulie was like, "Hey, chill out." It's like if Louis would have spoke, he would have probably threw Frankie under the bus. Maybe Frankie did something that wasn't right, and that's why Dolores was so defensive and didn't want it spoken about, because the way Paulie had to shut her down to not snap on Louis, it seemed like she was going to do.
She turned so fast.
Yeah, but whatever happened, Frank and Louis are good. Dolores is A-okay with it. So then why does it matter? If you weren't worried about him so bad, then Joe, you go get him a damn job somewhere. Or Frankie, hell, you go get him a job some damn well. But neither one of them can keep theirs, so I don't even know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very weird, because the story that's been circulating is that the business closed down, which then baby Frankie got displaced. If that's the story, then nobody is at fault. Businesses close down all the time. They get bought out. We have to displace people. It's not a big deal. Shit happens. And from my understanding, it was a company that Louis really didn't own on his own. He had some partners, and so his stake in the company was much less than the other people. So his say, I mean, if any of you know business, when you own a business, like, you're not actually out there, particularly with partners, making hiring and firing decisions. Like, you're investing, and then you're pretty much over and done with it. I think Joe was just looking at any fucking reason to try to place blame on Louis being a bad person. And trust me, Louis does not need any help to look like a bad guy. Like, he's got this on lock. you don't have to do much.
Now this you're on point with.
Now that you're on point with.
To close this scene out, John Fuda gets involved, and he has a personal question. He says to Louis, why did you have us investigated? Why did you reach out to the mother of my child? And he says that he knows people that I guess was related to this person. That's becoming I call her Benzino. Benzino, that's what I'm calling. Apparently, they go into this whole thing about the investigation from Benzino. And Louis denies all of the claims from Benzino. Rachel says that Benzino was even sitting next to them at the damn restaurant, watching her and Melissa, I think she said, or whatever. And, John says to Teresa and Louis that he's done with both of them. Teresa's like, oh, you done with me? Like, where's the facts? Where's the proof? Like, I only move off proof. And Louis just basically says, as far as the whole comment about Benzino, whatever his name is, he was just upset and he was just talking. And I think we talked about this last week by saying that, by him making that comment, we do feel like he has kind of like got himself to where they use that every time now because he said it. But any thoughts on this? I'll start with you, Sammy, and then we'll go into our next debate after this little discussion. We got two people in the queue.
I really wanted Gross Mouth Brood. Like, I don't even understand what's the point of John Fuda at this point. You can tell that he's around there trying to be in with the guys, and he's just doing the most, trying to get his footing. And it's annoying to watch. It's probably even more annoying to watch than his wife. I honestly don't even have anything to say in regards to his issue with Louis. Like, I think that Louis did have the detective thing going. He wasn't supposed to say it. He said it out of rage, and now he's trying to backtrack with it, especially saying him and the guy are really close friends. So you can't tell me that you have a PI that's a good friend of yours and y'all ain't talking about nothing, especially later on to see that he sent the security there. But, I mean, it's whatever. I think that the lady was going to get contacted anyway. Y'all were trying to get custody of the son. Somebody's going to have to reach out to her. So it's whatever. John Fuda can go. He's stupid. I have nothing to say about him.
Yeah.
Marge husband. Like, that double staircase that Andy said was so interesting that they bought Melissa and Joe on. I want John Fuda and Joe B to walk up to the top of that bitch and tumble all
and dive head first.
And hit every step. That's all I got for him.
Who doesn't have anything to say, you had a lot to say.
Tez, this whole comment that John Fuda made, do I believe, let's be clear, Louis definitely had Bugatti do some digging for him. It's
yes, Bugatti.
It's no question about it. The only slip he made when he said, I didn't mean for it to come out there. No, you didn't mean for it to come out, period. That's just that's the bottom line. I truly believe he did have the investigator. And to be honest, I don't have no problem with the investigator doing no work for him. I really don't. The other side is very dirty, so kudos, do it. Now, the whole thing that a person, John Fuda must have never had family in jail. It's public information to go on a jail site. You get the number, the right people, and all that. Like, it's extremely simple. It's public record, public information. I mean, you just got to type the person's name up and you'll find it. Like, so all this, you got to have certain information. Look, all you need is the name, child. Go ahead on with that bullshit.
Name and date of birth.
That's it.
But I don't think the mother's name was ever released before that. The mother's name just got released like a couple of weeks before the reunion. Like
it's easy to find out.
What it was.
It probably got released publicly, but who knows what they know down there.
And that's been talked amongst themselves. Chat, please.
Yeah.
Look, here's the thing. He's allowed to feel upset about some guy he doesn't know going to try to contact the mother of his child, who he's trying to keep away from his child because the woman is allegedly a drug addict and been in prison. He's allowed to be upset about that. Where it's a little bit confusing, it's like, well, your wife kind of knows how these people play because she's been a fan of the show, right? She ran a whole blog on it. So don't act surprised when you come on and you find out that somebody's kind of trying to dig up dirt. That should be, don't come on holier than thou. Like, how could you just be like, yo, I know what the fuck you did. I see what you're doing. And I know where to put you now. You want to play dirty? We can play dirty. I think that little macho thing kicked in and I was like, okay, you're doing a little too much. I was on his side. Louis 1000% went and dug up everybody. Absolutely everybody, every little thing that he possibly could. What his motivations were, I don't care, to be 100% honest. But he fucking did it. And anybody has a right to feel the way that they feel. Just the same way y'all advocate that anybody can feel the way that they feel whenever Marge does it. So if you're going to be mad at one bitch, you got to be mad at another one.
No, I don't. No,
Okay, so we got two individuals ready to go for the next debate. Sammy, the question is going to be on the screen. You can see the screen good, right?
Yeah.
Like you can see, okay, so you're going to read the questions. You're going to be the referee. Okay, I'm going to the bottom, but let me go ahead and get them in. And hold on, if you were not. Hey, hold on. Let me get this layout together. Chat. A whole lot of moving around.
Go.
All right,
okay.
So it's grown folks time, where it's grown.
Okay.
All right, so we have let me get this. We have Art World and we have Ronnie up here to this to go for this part 2 of the debate. Sam is going to list the questions going to appear on the screen. Do you have any questions about how? It's basically you're going to both answer the questions without interrupting, then you can have a debate about it. Okay. So the next question is. Hold on,
hi, Art World. How are you?
I'm good. Right. How you doing?
Good.
Can you see
Sammy? Y'all ready?
What's up, Sammy?
Yes.
How are you? Sammy, you
good.
look nice today. You look really nice.
Thank you. All right, y'all ready for the question?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if you had to pick one person who should not be asked back, who should it be and why? And what do you think the impact will be of that person leaving? You want to go first?
You want to go, Art World?
Sure. I would not ask Melissa back because she's boring. It's hard though because her husband, he brings out another side of the show that's entertaining, but she shouldn't come back. It's been proven that she does nothing for the show. When Teresa, right before she went to prison, Melissa had a friend come on, and it was kind of like revolving around those twins and Melissa's dynamic with her friend. And that season was complete trash. And then when Teresa went away, of course, they shut down production. So I definitely think that Melissa brings nothing. She has fake storylines. Nothing seems authentic. And I don't want to see her back. Well, I mean, I kind of do because of her husband, but if I had to choose, it would be her to not come back.
It would be okay. And what about you, Ron?
Well, I want to see Melissa come back. I want to see Joe come back. Team Melissa all day, every day. Joey Gorga, yes. That's like heavy in the paint. I go for that for sure. Who is the most lackluster? Teresa's probably the most lackluster, especially the husband really throws it off. But I wouldn't answer it with that. I'm going to answer it with Jen Aiden. Her time has sort of been up. I mean, she played the role of going.
I'm sorry, just between.
Yeah, just between. So okay. So if Teresa was to leave, how do you feel that would impact the show?
If Teresa left the show, out of respect, I'll say something probably unpredictable. Out of respect, I mean, I love Melissa heavy, right? But out of respect, I will say the best bet for everybody, for all of our sanity, because this was a tough reunion. Episode 1, I agree with whoever said it, that was the best one. Everyone is so tired of this, right? So rather than make it this versus this, why don't everyone who likes Teresa, which I can't imagine liking her because she is so boring, dried paint is more interesting. But the point is, Let her get that. I think somebody said it earlier today. Get her notoriety status or whatever it is called, like the legend of the show. I don't mind it, but spin her right on off. Spin her right on off and see if she can bring something to the table. You know, she's not really going to be able to do it on her own. I mean, the daughters are not going to really work. We don't even know. She's not even been with this husband like more than 2 seasons. You know what I mean? Throughout the year. So she doesn't even know the guy she's married to. Granted, that may make for good TV, but I don't think her doing her own show would be a success, but it would suffice everybody who wants to still see her. I don't want to see her.
You have a rebuttal for that, R-World?
Well,
hi, Jamie.
Hi.
you know, the just like you said, Teresa is boring. Melissa is boring. The same thing. She brings nothing but her husband, and I feel like Louis and Teresa dynamic would be more interesting because Louis is kind of one of those, like, I don't really care for him, but he's entertaining and he's so mysterious, and you just don't know what he's going to do or say. And so I feel like Joe Gorga will the only way that Melissa could survive is through Joe Gorga.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because for the record, I'll flip it the other way. Give Melissa and Joe their own show, and then I'll go watch that. I'll still watch New Jersey because I still think there's a good amount of cast members. The difference between a Melissa fan and a Teresa fan, we don't give a care about Teresa. She is boring. She doesn't look like she could add 10 plus 10, but at the same time, let her go do what she does. Melissa, like, I just think she brings a lot to the table. The concept of her not having a storyline is so funny and cheesy to me. I don't see it. She's one of the pretty girls. She's one with confidence. I've always liked the relationship that Joe and Melissa have had because they're the type that both know they're generally pretty hot. They talk little flirty energy or whatever. And if one does go out and stray or whatever, it's like, I'll get another one 10 times better than you. They have a fun confidence that I think Teresa doesn't recognize. She doesn't know how to have that confidence. And Teresa, because she doesn't know how to use her words, she gets angry. And I think that's the biggest problem of the show. I wish for the sake of the show, Teresa was a little smarter. Yeah.
Okay.
Joe gets angry as well, though.
Oh, hold on, y'all. I have something because I that was good. But in regards to the storyline, because the thing about Twitter is like a smorgasbord of housewives. You know, there's old clips, new clips. And I actually said something to Tez that I think it fits very, very well right here, especially with you saying that you don't think that they would have a problem having a storyline if it wasn't for Teresa and Teresa. And we say it all the time, at least I know I do, that they know that they need Teresa for a storyline. And the comments don't roll with it. So maybe if you hear it from the horse's mouth himself, then it would probably make more sense. So if you could, Tez, play that little video, please.
Oh shit, I forgot. So he had a video. It's actually an audio. I didn't do the video because this audio was requested by Sammy, not me.
I just got to say that if Pretty is a storyline, Melissa still needs a storyline.
Can we hear the audio, Danny, please?
Move on tweeted, why did you promise not to talk about the Guidices, only to go on Melissa's podcast to do just that? Do you really believe your nieces would have been homeless and not have food if it wasn't for you?
Well, I didn't mean homeless. What I meant was we kept the show going.
Okay.
Because, we went through a downfall, right?
Okay. Other people pointed out, though, that we did shut production for a while until Teresa came out.
Correct.
Right.
And then when we do film, listen, we have a storyline. This show has been epic because of the family drama.
Yes.
Correct?
That you're involved with.
Right.
There you go.
There you go.
Gorga, we got this a lot for you, so I got to ask. Move on tweeted, why did...
Okay, my bad. Stop. Okay.
Can I just say, as far as storylines, I don't think either one of these couples can exist without the other. They are so knee-deep in their own bullshit, their own animosity, their own hatred for each other. I think that they now are in this symbiotic relationship of toxicity that if either one of them were to leave, they would not know how to just be by themselves. Because as much as Melissa talks about Teresa and Louis talk about them.
So thank you first, Ronnie and Artwell. We can get y'all then we can continue the show.
Let us know in the chat.
Thank you.
I think won that debate between Ronnie and Art World. Okay, let us know in the comments. All right, but
All
thank
right.
you.
Ronnie.
Art World,
Thank
you were a tough opponent.
Oh, you were too. I love it.
Neither one of y'all were moving.
And
usually-
I'm not even that much of a Teresa. Jen is my girl, but I like Teresa way more than Melissa. So
Can I give
Not third string.
can I give last words on Melissa? I'm just saying that I really, and you guys could think how you want. I really feel like with or without the show, she's amazing. This is what I'm saying. Like, we are only getting a window under this Teresa thing, which I'll give credibility to that. Melissa is definitely that icon. I gotta stand 10 toes down on that. And we're already and I say it proudly, and I'm always gonna say it, and I'm gonna say it warm and humorous and all these things. Like, I guarantee she will be popping regardless of the show. So again, spin-off, stay on the show, or go start doing the e-correspondence that she was doing for the Met Gala, like all of the things she's already working on and like positioning herself. She's always going to be an icon on this show. Teresa, boring. That's the end of the sentence. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
bye.
On display did go number 450 on iTunes.
All right, y'all. We're gonna take y'all out. All right. Okay.
Okay, y'all. They need to calm down.
I like listening to different. I enjoy listening to because nobody moved. I will say that.
It was their square, and that was there.
It was their square. I love it. And in the comments, thank y'all for being respectful too. Because I mean, listen, you that's what it is.
I don't see Melissa being iconic off the show because she ain't iconic on the show. So if she can't pop while she's on the TV, then when nobody can see her, they really ain't gonna be thinking about it. But to hear Joe himself say that we need this storyline with Teresa, this is what makes the show so epic. After the downfall, he labeled it a downfall, which was them not filming. But to say that we have this storyline with Teresa with his family drama making it so epic, they know what they're doing. That's why they continue to pick with that woman because it feeds shit. If it wasn't for Teresa, they wouldn't be able to put food on their table for their kids. It seems like.
All right,
to be able to buy some fake purses to sell.
We're moving on. All right, so part 3 of this reunion was actually where he announced that there was a security guard downstairs sent by
Bugatti.
Whatever his name was, Bugatti, Benzino, whatever his name is. He's many names, but Bo, whatever his name was. And they kind of talk about it. He says that basically they have been getting death threats. And Teresa says that Marge is behind all of this, behind the person that's giving them all these threats, and Louis turns to them and said, "Let's play." And I kind of got my life. I ain't gonna lie, but that's very just because I'm like, what does he mean? Let's play. I will agree with somebody that says he's a very mysterious. He's not entertaining, but I just don't know what's going to come about. So I feel like for TV purposes, I don't mind it. Although I do worry about Teresa in the long run. That's just me. But Marge shows a screenshot of she brings up the text messages or him allegedly reaching out to her son, and shows the text message showing that this is the message, this is the number. Melissa's like, how would she have your number? Blah blah blah. Louis denies it all, and Frank gets involved. They talk about a smear campaign about everything that happened and plotting against them, and they talk about the pizza business. So apparently, in the pizza business, Joe says that Louis ghosted him with that business. Melissa gets involved, and then Andy asks John Fuda for his advice or what would he have done, and he basically says that there would have been a contract. There would have been some kind of written document to state the business. They all agree. Teresa agrees. She's nodding her head in her bob, and then they ask Louis who was. They ask Louis.
Not the head in the bob.
What happened with Dina and her husband in that business deal? And Joe kind of has his thoughts. Louis says that I don't know why you're talking because you were about to get sued because they didn't want this talk to be talked about on TV. Joe calls Louis a woman abuser. Teresa does not like that, and then it becomes Joe versus Louis again. And by Louis saying you're going to regret all of this. Any thoughts on this exchange between the pizza business, the John Fuda's advice? I wasn't unsolicited, but he was asked. And then a conversation about Dina and her husband. Any thoughts?
Yeah, the Dina and her husband stuff, I mean, let it go. They've already, even if it is true, they don't want to talk about it. They said that they're fine, let it go. What I will say that I don't know why no one caught on to when they were speaking about the pizza stuff He said he spoke with whoever they were doing the partnership with, put the money up, and then called Joe to talk about the percentage what percentage he wanted, which is when Joe got pissed off, and then just the conversation was done. So he's putting out the narrative that Louis screwed him. The man called you to see how you want to do the percentage, and you got mad, and then the conversation ended. So you screwed yourself, idiot. But Joe don't know the first thing about business, so that's. I mean, I'm not surprised they did put it on him. That's how Louis. It never happened. So Louis lost the money because Joe threw a fit because I don't know what he was expecting, but that man didn't screw you. You screwed yourself because you wanted something bigger than what you were being offered. Y'all, he called you to have a conversation. You didn't like the way the conversation was going. You threw a bitch boy fit, and then that was the end of it.
Okay.
Joe was mad because he had planned to take Louis' money all along. Neither one of them are scrupulous businessmen. Both of them cheat people out of money. Both of them have multiple lawsuits out there. One of them was going to get the other, and Joe's just mad that Louis got him first. Any smart businessman would have said, any smart businessman would have said, here are the terms. Before we even discuss checks, before we even discuss bank transfers, we need to both agree to these terms. I don't know why Louis would have sent money any fucking way without a contract. Like, both of these men are stupid as hell.
Okay.
You both deserve to be broke.
Okay.
And that's why your businesses go out of business.
I would bring someone else on, but all we have in the queue is Team Teresa. So we need some Team Melissa here to have a debate. Otherwise, it's going to be even more biased, and y'all already said we are. So,
not with all this in the chat. Not with all this in the chat.
I know there's a lot of Team Melissa. I know y'all
okay.
scared.
Not that scared.
Yeah, don't be scared. You don't have to get on camera. You can just do audio.
Don't jump you. Sammy,
Right.
don't jump these
We have
people.
some more questions, and we have some more things to do. So if you are Team Melissa, please join the queue, and we can get the next debate going. Until then, we'll continue with the show. I'll put the link in the chat again. I know y'all ain't scared, child. Huh? All right. So then part 4 was part that kind of got annoying to me because once again, Andy gets involved. I didn't really care for the question too much, but basically Teresa. So this is where Teresa believes that Joe and Melissa sent them to jail via Jacqueline, and they talk about Jacqueline. And Frank speaks up and says, listen, I was Joe's attorney, so I know for a fact he said nothing about you. And Andy says it's the joke of the century that basically you are believing in being friends with Jacqueline. They showed the flashbacks of how their relationship was. And, I'll say this, Andy preaches, even in this reunion, he preaches growth, but he acts like people can't grow. Like he wants people to resolve and have these moments of like coming together. But in this moment where I feel like maybe she actually did is better terms with Jacqueline, he can't accept it. He's adding his own fuel to the fire. But Joe mentions like Louis' old videos, and Teresa talks about Joe and his old past. Joe says that he does not regret going to the wedding, or not, he does not regret not going to the wedding. And basically they talk about the whole Melissa cheating rumors, and Louis speaks to why he only invited he only invited Joe to the conversation about Melissa cheating with multiple men. So Teresa called Gia because the speculation is that Gia is the person that says that he can do so much better than Melissa. And Gia is at Coachella. First of all, like, oh, come on, Coachella. Andy tells her not to take any drugs. I'm assuming he's speaking from experience. But, Teresa storms off and she breaks down and goes to the back, at the thought that basically he would lie on Gia. Any thoughts on that? I'll start with you, Jamie. No.
Like, we've already seen that Joe will take 3 words and twist them into a completely different narrative. I believe what's said later on that Gia said, come on, you're better than this. You can do better than this. I believe she said that. Joe took that as, oh, you're saying I can do better than Melissa? You're saying your aunt's not shit? That's it. We're done. Like, that man is a liar. Melissa's a liar. They're dramatic. Why would a 21-year-old girl get on the phone and tell her uncle that her aunt is trash? I mean, I would, because their aunt is trash. But leave that girl at Coachella. Let her roll on her drugs in peace. Stop calling her. I'm surprised she got service in Coachella. The fuck? Where do they get service at out there in the desert?
Any thoughts? No. Okay. And at this time,
I have thoughts on that. I actually do.
Go ahead.
You wanted to try to be quiet so bad.
Do you think Gia really said that?
No.
Do you think
Melissa
Gia
is
really
no
said
full of shit. Melissa, she is a non-factor in this entire situation. I found it very funny that the wife who can't tell her husband what to do or she can't influence or control Joe was able to tell him to sit back and just be quiet and let Gia run with the conversation. That's because you knew you were lying. So there was no way to rebuttal that girl on the phone. Because if you remember, neither one of them said it. When it came up, Jennifer is the one who said, well, he said Gia said it. Because he was just saying, no, Teresa didn't say it, thinking they were just going to move on. Until Jen said, well, he said it was Gia, which made Teresa call Gia to confirm. Joe, I don't know what he's doing. Like, you can tell, to me, he looks like he's upset, he's heartbroken that him and Teresa have gotten to the place that they're in, but he's still playing this role up there with Melissa. And for Frank to even try to chime in and talk about attorney-client privilege, does that even still matter once you're disbarred? Like, we don't care about you being his lawyer. We don't care about what was going on when that was happening. I don't even know why you're here, Frank. Like, I truly don't even know why you're here. I'm glad you got a house. I guess that was information we needed. I don't know. But Gia didn't tell that man that. Like, and we have to remember, Gia was like always on his side. She would cry when they were, at odds. She always wanted him to come around. She always wanted him to make amends. She ain't lying on you. And she was even still respectful referring to Melissa as an aunt, because I wouldn't even say the bitch name. Wouldn't have.
You didn't have anything, did you?
Not really.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can get to the last part, which was basically, having Teresa in the back. She was in the back, and for those that still in the queue, we'll still have you guys be able to join the conversation and come on the show. Just probably not in debate form because it seems like Team Melissa is scared. I ain't saying that. I'm just saying they said where the question. I want to know the question ahead of time.
Bo Dietl said it.
Well, we may have somebody with that being said. But anyway, in the last part before we get to our final debate. Is Teresa, she breaks down, she walks off, don't follow me. I really wish there was a couple of tears. I didn't see no tears, no shade. I just didn't see them. And she calls Gia and Gia calms her down. Louis in the back with her. And Andy comes to the back. Andy apologizes for yelling at her. That's big of him because he has yelled at her quite a bit, specifically her. He basically says he's going to send all the husbands off, but because there's no resolution, he can see that there's nothing good going to come from this. And then, he goes back out, and Dolores tells everybody to hush, let them resolve it, like nobody get involved. Thank God. I wish Andy would just say that because, that's just his job, I feel like. And so Joe gives his piece. Joe says he will always be there. If she was hit by a car tomorrow, he will be at the hospital or whatever he needs to do. But, he just says that they should just probably leave each other alone. He turns to Louis and tell Louis that let's just let it be what it is, and you be her wife, but let's not. We don't have to have anything. Louis gets up, but I ain't gonna lie, it was hilarious because Andy kind of got shook when Louis got up. He was like, he didn't know what was about to happen, but Louis goes over and he shakes hands with Frank. It just basically says that he goes over there and says he's never had anybody investigated, so don't worry about it. And then he goes back to his side, but then goes back over to John Fuda and tells him, like, listen, I've never done it, never have, never will. And John Fuda says, no, you need to own it. Like, I'll accept your apology when you be a man and own the fact that you reached out and had an investigation. So all the husbands leave. At the end, we find out that Danielle and Marge are okay. No negative energy there. Same with Rachel. Teresa talks about her piece in terms of, why she was so. I like that Andy pointed out how they were so. This is probably the most time they've been so real with each other on how they feel. But she says that she was like that because she was getting married, but she felt like Melissa kept coming for her. And Melissa says she feels the hate, but she still loves her. But she knows how to move going forward. So. Any final thoughts from the panel before we pass to our callers for tonight? And
So, I was thinking back to when Joe said that Teresa's making herself look bad. Okay. And that alone lets me feel that, Teresa doesn't care how she's perceived. She's saying how she feels. She's saying the truth. Joe is spitting out all these pretty words, which lets me know he's being fake as hell. Like, he's really being fake as fuck and is just pandering to the cameras and the crowd. He's not being real about how he feels about the whole situation. Teresa's the one that's being real here, not Joe. That's really
I think he came in there with hopes of making it better. When he tried to give out his little spiel about, I always love you.
Yeah.
If you get hit, and Teresa said, I don't even want to hear none of that shit. If you can't do it now,
because there was no action behind it.
Yeah, and I think at that point he kind of realized, oh, she's serious. And then with Melissa still playing the victim, and I'll just do what the family wants. Girl said, oh, now 20-some years later, now you gonna roll with the flow based on what the family wants. They showed how fake they are. Andy, I've just thought about this when he was saying on Teresa how she was a fool for befriending Jacqueline. But he said his ass on that podcast just is such awe, and he couldn't believe it. And he was loving that the Joes met up in the Bahamas and were hugging and taking pictures. The way they was beating each other ass all throughout the seasons, and they couldn't stand each other. And you just are such in awe about that, but you can't understand how Teresa and Jacqueline make up. He was picking with Teresa this entire reunion. He's a damn Gorga at this point, if you ask me.
Okay. Jamie, you got something you want to add before I pass it off to the debate?
I agree with Danny's statement and Sammy about Joe faking like all the, oh, I'm so sad you broke my heart, to an extent. I think both Joe and Teresa are kind of tired with where they are at. I think if you remove Melissa from the equation, they would probably be able to get to a good place. Also, if you remove Joe from the equation, I think that Teresa and Melissa would be able to get to an okay place. The problem with them is when you have a husband and wife who are not going to go against each other no matter what, and you're kind of by yourself, you're fighting two people at the same time who are just constantly going to back each other up. And at this point, all three of them have pissed each other off that they could have sat there for 6 hours uninterrupted screaming at each other and nobody would have moved. Like nobody is trying to hear what the other person is trying to say. Teresa is just as culpable in the demise of this relationship as Melissa is and as Joe is. All three of them have done nasty fucking things to each other. All of them have claimed victims. It's just not enjoyable. I used to love Jersey. It's just not enjoyable. It's so every episode is goddamn draining. And I know.
Also, you could tell that Melissa don't want Joe and Teresa to make up.
Yeah,
Louis stays out of it
because she's mad at Teresa.
Tries to let Joe and Teresa talk. Melissa can't stand it. Melissa, even when they start to talk calmly, Melissa inserts herself and makes it heated all over again.
Yeah,
she's the devil.
I think all three of them are lying. All three of them need to come back and say, "I'm pissed at you, and I'm not trying to make up with you right now. I'm not interested in."
Well, Teresa said it.
Right Teresa said that a couple times.
Yeah. Which I believe her on that. Good for her. But then she immediately starts crying. You broke my heart, and I can't do this. I'll never raise my kids. I'm like,
she still loves him.
And you know what? And that was in that moment. It was in that moment when she went in that back and she told them, "Listen, I'm done." Like that's. She said it a lot of times. But when she was in that back, when she said it the last time, "I want them out of my life. I'm done with this." That was the most that like she.
But she said that for 5 years, and she keeps signing on the dotted line to collect that check. So what do you want more? You want peace?
How many times have they came at her kids though? How many times have they lied on her children?
I'm not saying she's wrong for that, but you can't claim victimhood when every time September rolls around, you put a pen to a piece of paper.
I don't think she's claiming victim. I think
I'm gonna get a check.
Like she's sick of this shit. Like she
all
said,
three of them like the money. They all love the money. All three
Thank
of them.
Thank you, Lord.
No, but the thing is, if they leave,
money more.
Teresa did 2 years without them. She could do 10 more without them motherfuckers. The Gorgas can go.
Okay, so we got a line out here, so I want to go ahead and get them in. We come back to y'all for final thoughts. Y'all had your own little debate going on. Sweet debate, which is good. But let's go ahead and get them in too. So we had the last one was actually a 2-part question, but we'll split it up and then go from there. Okay, is that cool? Or maybe we'll just have them answer the same question. I don't know, because I expected 2-3 rounds of this, but it seems to be more. So with that being said, let me set it up, and we got all right. All right, Danny. Oh shit, hold on. Danny, you want to be the referee?
Sure.
All right. What's going on, Chase? And life of is it Deshay or Deshay? How do I say it?
It's Deshay. Oh, y'all got me going against Chase. I actually like Chase. I was trying to go against Danny. Okay.
Well, Danny is on the panel. This is
you don't like. Okay.
Well, hold on. So the question.
Well, I might not be a good referee because I'm gonna be biased then.
Oh my God. Oh Lord. Okay.
Not this word.
So we're gonna go ahead and start. The question is,
Who was watching
Okay.
TV in the back?
Question 1: do you feel Melissa has any influence on Joe's behavior?
All right, so I'm just going to speak from my experience, right? I'm a wife of 6 years, and when I first got married, literally the month before we got married, I had a fight with my sister-in-law at her 30th birthday, and she's the older sister, and we're at a better space now, but I will say, just from my experience, sisters, especially when they're older sisters, they are very possessive of their brothers. And so as a wife, yes, somewhat you do have an influence, but to be honest, like in the beginning, my husband did not want no parts of like our issues. Like he tried to stay away like with 10 feet pole, and he was just like, that's my sister, I don't want to like get in between. And I remember watching a scene, because I've been rewatching Jersey, and it's a scene where Joe checks Melissa because Melissa just had enough and was like, look, I don't have to wear fake Chanel. Y'all need to check the girl who has bankruptcy right now, right? We're talking about Teresa. And Joe was like, I don't give a hell what y'all go through. That's my sister. And so that was like my husband in the beginning. So I do believe that in some ways, yes, you may have an influence, because after a while, especially especially because this has been a repetitive thing that Joe said, that he's had 2 fiancés before Melissa, and he broke up with them, on spite of basically Teresa. And I think when he got with Melissa, he was like, fuck that. Okay. 3rd time's the charm. I'm not about to do this. Right. And then he started seeing things that Teresa would do. And I'm not saying that Melissa is like, without fault. That's not what I'm saying. But Teresa is very triggering. And I feel like she's kind of like, well, I'm the sister, and like the whole family was against Melissa. I'm grateful that I have a very close relationship with my in-laws.
Objection. That's not the question.
Oh, I'm just going on. Okay, fine. Okay, I feel like it's a yes or no, because it could be a yes and a no. I don't think Melissa's trying to have strife between the brother and sister, but I do think that she's probably like, look at what your sister's doing. She's always calling me a cheater. She called me a stripper. She called me like, I will never be good enough, and it's either me or your sister. And I think after a while, you start to be like, okay, well, why do I have to support and deal with your husbands and your weirdos that come along, and my wife has to be treated like that? But again, I know I'm going on a tangent.
All right,
thank you.
So I guess we can all agree that the answer would be yes. Then is that correct, Deshae? And thank you for the love. I appreciate it. This is strictly business. It's nothing personal. But I'm coming here to end the shit tonight. So I guess we will both agree that the answer is yes. Am I correct?
Sounds like
yeah, I guess so. Yes, whether it's positive or negative. Yes,
we definitely know whether it's positive or negative. That one shining example. We want to thank you, Joe, for that one shining example of when you actually stood up for your sister. Because other than that, the only things that I recall are, your wife telling you what to do, even though she says that she can't, which was some bullshit. Like, remember season 4, the finale, and they're leaving the fashion show, and she says, yell shame on you to your sister. Say it right now. Say shame on you to your sister. And what did Joe do?
Okay, well, what happened in the fashion show?
He's not done.
That's not the question.
Okay.
Reclaiming my time. That's not the question, my sweet baby. What's the question? And I love you down, but what's the question?
All right, fine. Does a wife have influence on the husband? Well, do you think Teresa had influence on Joe? Because if that's the case, then she would have stayed out of jail, right? So I think that there is a yes or no.
But that would imply, I'm sorry, Deshae, but that would imply that Teresa put Joe up to do whatever he did when everyone else said that was not the case.
Well, I mean, she also don't got a brain worth nothing. So, I mean, that's not really saying much. I'm just saying, like, Melissa's actually smart. Melissa's actually a college graduate, and so is Teresa, but Teresa acts like she don't use that.
Is she smart?
Yes, she is. Because
if she was smart, she wouldn't have pushed this issue so far to the point where now it's looking like she may be gainfully unemployed. Is she smart?
Well, we don't know that yet. Honestly, I feel like the bigger issue, this is an HR issue. And I feel like Bravo would be stupid if they get rid of Melissa because of the fact that that is playing into Teresa having power, when really she really needs to look at the walking red flag that is her husband. So I do think that if Bravo, honestly, this is a lawsuit waiting to happen. Because if I'm Melissa, if you won't fire me, then you need to fire this guy who is an employee of Bravo's, who is now investigating co-workers. Like, that is like where we cross the line.
So then if we're investigating co-workers and firing them for that, then Marge has to go too. Am I correct?
No, because
And then
Marge.
Jen has to go. Am I correct?
Okay, no, there's no proof that Marge actually hired a PI. I do believe that
Marge
Marge
is a
might.
PI.
How do we know? Okay, seriously, like honestly, she's
Seriously.
investigating. Okay, well, she never admitted. So she's smarter than this fool. Okay,
But Melissa has admitted it. Jackie has admitted it. It's been
to
admitted.
hiring
It's on the record.
Okay,
To
well, I need to
Marge being in everybody's business, waking up in the morning because she has no kids, waking up in the morning, she has no kids, she pours her coffee, and then she gets on the hotline of New Jersey and gets everybody's tea.
Look, I
but to answer
believe
your
Marge.
question, yes, I do believe that. That is my answer to your question,
yeah.
part one. Yes.
Okay, what's part two?
Y'all lucky I'm pregnant, okay? Because I would have had a shot. Because he got me.
You got me fighting with a pregnant woman. You got two pregnant women up fighting.
Chase. Hold on, Chase. Deshae, do you have a rebuttal to what Chase said?
No, I look. I think that, like I said, I'm very fair at seeing both sides, but I do think that with tree stumps, like y'all are blind if y'all say that there is no doubt that like this is a walking red flag. Like I think Teresa deserves love. But I do think that the difference between Marge and Louis goes night and day. The difference is that we have no proof that Marge is hiring PI. I do think that with you being famous, right? And look at what Teresa's has done. Teresa's like set up this girl to get her hair pulled. She's like attacked Marge several times, you know. And I do think that with all of the allegations coming out with Louis, I do think some of his ex was probably in her DM, which she kind of alluded to last season, saying, look, it's the ex-girlfriends coming to me. It's not me saying anything. I just want you guys to address it. Yes, Marge need to address her own stuff, but that's a whole different thing than, you know, having your friend investigate. Like if we could say he had a guard, his friend, the same PI sent a guard for him, you don't think he would do that? And then he just so happened to be at the restaurant that Melissa and Rachel. I think it's weird. And I do think that he's going to be the downfall of Teresa. I think Teresa was doing better. I think their relationship was getting better. Think about the season literally before he walked on. They were like always at the beach house. There's a confessional this season where they asked Gia, when was the last time you guys had a good relationship? She said before Louis, the summer of like 2019, right before she met him in 2020. So I do think that if they let things go from the past, both of them, right? I think Melissa's holding on to a lot of stuff. There's been built up tension. Like, I'm called a stripper. I'm called this. Like, it was a scene in that same scene where Joe was going off. He was like, look, you're playing into what my parents think. They think you are the devil. I couldn't even imagine marrying into someone's family who hates me that much. So I do think that when it comes to, they have said nasty things about each other, but there is a slander against Melissa. Like, you calling someone a stripper, you're calling them, you know, a cheater. Like, those are things that could ruin a person's marriage. And I have not seen anywhere where Melissa has said something that could ruin Teresa's relationships. Like, that is where it's like
the very first episode, she said, "We pay our bills, unlike them."
That ain't ruining her relationship. I mean,
it ruined a relationship because it ultimately further perpetuated and was the catalyst. Yeah, well, why doesn't she pay her bills? Because what? That whole situation, am I correct? However,
what I'm saying is attacking someone's marriage.
I have part two of the question.
Okay, yeah.
I want part two of the question.
Yeah. Okay. I still love you, Chase.
Oh, really? I thought it was more of a question. I didn't know.
Well, no, we're gonna say that for the next debate because we got people in the thing.
Okay, but I just want to say that.
Do you have any closing marks in y'all cases before we get y'all out of here? But make it quick.
Yeah. Only thing I would say is that I do think that people need to give Melissa grace and think about if you were being attacked after being married. I mean, they have not been married for a year. They've been married for 20 years. I do think that people need to give grace. And also on the side of like Teresa, I do think that people need to understand that Teresa's been through a lot and give her grace when it comes to maybe she made a mistake. You know, think about she's been married to Guidice for 20 years. And then she gets into a relationship. It's like starting all over. So I do think that, yes, he is a walking red flag, but let her figure it out. And if that's her mistake, I hope some way, somehow they can come back together and be family because they're going to eventually need each other.
Okay. And I won't be giving them any grace. And when I say them, I mean the Gorgas. Because when you say that the last time that they had a great relationship is when Teresa did not have a man and was dependent upon Joe to do things when the cameras were rolling because he wouldn't do it when the cameras were off, that feeds into his male egotistical bullshit. And I'm not going for it. He wants Melissa to be on one leg on the ground looking up to him, and he wants Teresa to be on the other leg on the ground looking up to him because he wants to be the top dog in a relationship in a family dynamic where he is not. Because if he was, they would have come to Melissa and Joe first, and they did not. They went to Teresa first. So with that being said, they won't be getting any grace from me. I don't feel bad for any accusation that she received on the end of coming on a show behind her sister-in-law's back to take her down. I don't feel bad. Too bad, so sad. It's what you signed up for, as Jamie says, every September. With that, I bid you all adieu.
Thank y'all both for it was real.
Thank you, Lipa Deshay. That was actually it was very interesting to hear.
And thank you, Chase.
And thank you for
Thank you all.
and thank you for
She
taking me
wasn't
out
up
the
by herself.
referee.
The aggression, child. Ooh, we ain't gonna let Chase back in no more, child. All right, our next person, the next debate is going to be Jessica and Sierra Content.
Oh my god.
Hey y'all, thank you for having me.
Oh wow. Hi guys, how are you?
How are you, Jess? I'm glad you called. I know you asked for the question, but the question that you guys have, it was gonna be, well, we broke this up, but the question that you guys have is, can you see it, Jamie? Okay. Oh, she's on mute. Oh, my bad. Say it again.
Hi. Okay, y'all ready? Do you think that Teresa allows Louis to speak or do her dirty work to keep her own hands clean?
Jessica, you go first.
Of course, I do. Yes. I mean, we have we have seen from, Strippergate to everything that has transpired to now. I mean, the list can go on and on. But I mean, yes, of course. And to be honest with you, I would expect, like, if to be quite honest, if it was my man, like if it was my husband, I would expect for him to have my back. Like, we ride or die. So yeah, I do definitely think that Louis does the dirty work for Teresa. But I also do think that Teresa is also very good at playing that narrative that, like, I don't really want to say it. I don't really know what to do with this information. So, like, she pans that face. She has that, and she does that really well. And I think for certain things, I mean, Teresa's not the smartest person in the room, but when it comes to playing the game, she knows how to do that very, very well. And we've seen her also have, like, those confessional moments where she's like, no, like, yeah, I did do that. Oh, I did say that, or whatever the case. So she does confess to that during confessional moments. But again, like in this particular question, if Louis does the work for her, of course. But I mean, she has everybody do her work for her. So, I mean, that's not surprising at all.
Exactly. Sierra.
Yeah, Sierra. I'm here. The princess is here. No, I don't think that Teresa really needs anyone to do her dirty work, because I don't think Teresa was doing too much dirty work at all this season. And I think even if she were to have been doing that, why would she repeat the same storyline from season 3? It's just kind of played out. She said it in an interview. She said, I think it might have been a confessional or something like that. She said, why would I regurgitate another Melissa is cheating storyline? I don't think she had anything at all to do with it. And I honestly think it's not a rumor. I think it's true, which is why, Louis set up that whole meeting between him, Teresa, and Joe and left Melissa out of it, because she might be a whore. She might be a cheater. And I don't think Teresa had anything to do with it. She doesn't love Joe. I don't know why she would, because Joe looks a mess now. So that's my thought on it.
You have a rebuttal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Let's do it.
Louis is a walking red flag. Since the moment before he even stepped on the show, there was already, I'm sorry, I don't want to curse. There was already stories coming out about him. Teresa does not want to take that narrative of this Prince Charming that came to save her after this horrendous thing that she went with Joe Giudice about going to jail and then losing her parents and having to start over. She wants to keep that narrative. And we saw it today at the reunion. She completely deflected and she kind of turned the cheek a little bit to make sure that Louis didn't look as, I mean, he still looked bad, but not as bad as it really could have been. And I guess also, I mean, there's other sources from other people. Obviously, I mean, you guys aren't the only panel that talk about the Real Housewives, but there's other people that also do so as well and have different sources and things like that, that also kind of give out, you know, stories of things that are going behind the scenes. So when you have this much heat going around you, yeah, you are going to come up with an old storyline, because that's all you have. All you have is your sister-in-law to be, again, the scapegoat to why you don't want people to talk about the real issues that are going on in your personal life, being Louis. Louis is, again, a walking red flag. And I think that even people who really love Teresa can actually admit and say, something's not right. So
something's not right with Louis. So you're saying he's a live wire, right? So you're saying that he kind of acted on his own accord. So if he's acting on his own accord, how did Teresa put him up to it?
Well, first of all, I think that Teresa's going to say, listen, we're not going to talk about this. We're not going to, same thing we've seen Housewives do, like right before the guys came out, we saw one of the housewives say, I believe it could have been Jen Aiden or it could have been Teresa, that said, don't let them, what did she say? There was like a moment, like as they were walking out, don't let them get you riled up or something like that. It was one of the housewives said that. These women do they coach them, because men are fiery people. Like if you were to put my husband behind me on this right now, he'd be like, yeah, she's right. And I'm going to have, like, it's a natural instinct that I think men have that. And the same thing for women. Women want to protect their partners no matter what. So I think it's just a natural thing that happens. So again, everybody knows all the things that are coming out about Louis. And again, we already have the storyline playing about the issues that Teresa and Melissa and Joe have. So why not just take it back to old school, something that really got people, like, you know, riled up. It didn't really do anything this season, but you know what I mean? Like, it still was something for them to talk about, besides talking about the real issues about Louis.
Thank you. Sierra, before we let y'all go, do you have a rebuttal for that? One final quick tidbit?
It's not necessarily a rebuttal. I did kind of come up here to read Melissa, because I really am just so happy that we're finally never going to see Melissa ever again on Bravo. It's exciting, and it's not like is anybody really going to notice that she left? Because what iconic catchphrases has this lady come up with? Name one.
On display.
That was written for her.
Thank you both. Thank you guys for keeping it respectful. Thank you guys for standing your ground. I will say two things can be true at once. It is okay and completely plausible for Louis to treat Teresa like a queen and treat everybody else like shit. So two things can be true at once, and I think that is probably the true thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great night.
Bye.
Who's beating the door down?
I don't know who's beating the door down. Okay.
Oh, that was me. I threw my phone on the table.
This is the last show for shit until we come back. You know, New Jersey's taking a pause on filming, so they probably will start filming back like in the fall, which means that we probably won't get another season until around this time next year. It could be a long time. So you know, it's been fun. We do have just a caller that wants to give his thoughts. No more debate. I will say the debate was actually very great. I think both sides gave some very somewhat valid points. I won't speak to I chose, but if you're watching, whether it's live or watching the replay, let us know who do you tonight. What team represented their fave the best and the most? But I'll let this last caller on before we get out of here, because this is the last time we're going to talk about it. And make sure you guys like and subscribe. And our last caller and commentator for tonight will be Taylor. Is this
Taylor?
Hello. Hi guys.
Taylor. Finally, it only took you 37 episodes of talking shit
I have
in the
not.
chat to call in.
Right.
Listen, because like
How you gonna close
anyone that's a stan of Marge deserves to be read. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But wait, Cortez, you said you had a question. Who do you think supported their team the best?
Well, yeah, let's ask you that. Who do you? Well, I know where you stand, so but go ahead, answer the question. Go ahead.
I mean, honestly, Sammy put it best. I think at the very beginning, it was just draining altogether. I think the cast is kind of deadlocked, and so when it's at that stage, I think that everyone is just scrambling, just trying to like speak over the other, and so everyone just sounded a mess. I think that it's not even so much that I'm team Teresa as much as I'm just like anti Melissa, because Teresa makes herself look stupid and we already know that she says and does stupid shit, but Melissa hides her hands every time she throws rocks. And I think that's what makes her so frustrating, because it's easy for her to kind of get one over on Teresa. And then she also has like the sounding board of Margaret on her side, and now Rachel Fuda, and then her husband Joe has all of the boys on like this one little boys club clique. And so then it's like Teresa looks like this crazy unhinged dummy the whole time Melissa's just as crazy and unhinged. And so I'm kind of like almost like I hate her too, so like can we just take her down as well? Like I need someone to just really get her together, because she's not as smart as everyone's saying she is. She's just smarter than Teresa. She's also a dummy bitch. She can't sing. She has nothing interesting going for her. Her entire storyline has always been about Teresa hates me. Teresa hates me. Teresa turned everyone against my brother. Teresa hates me. Okay, so let's take Teresa out of the equation. What do we have left? Has to do bills. Okay, that's not interesting. You got to go. I just think Melissa needs to go. I think that the show, one of them needs to go, and I think that Teresa would be an obvious choice to stay just because she is the face of Jersey. It would be too drastic to get rid of her first. They need to get rid of Melissa first and try to get the show to, roll on, and then maybe think about moving Teresa. But Melissa's got to go. Sorry.
Okay. All right, Taylor. Well, thank you. You be our final caller.
Thank you, Taylor.
Taylor, okay.
All right, happy to call in.
All right. Okay, listen, we have reached the end of our review, and it's surprising we actually ended at the exact same time as we normally do, with having 4 debates in one caller. So we did good. We did really good up here. Sammy didn't come out of a bag on nobody, headbutt nobody. So I'm so glad, because I was not just glad. It's been a good season. So I know, thank you, the viewers, obviously, but thank you, Danny, Sammy, and Jamie. It's been a long season. But this has been a really good panel. It's been a really good panel. I've seen some of the comments in the chat saying how much you guys will miss us. We'll miss you guys too, but you can always watch us on our other shows. We have, I think, 2 or 3 more episodes of Martha's Vineyard. And it's actually going to move probably back to Tuesdays beginning next week. So tomorrow there'll be a live for Martha's Vineyard. Atlanta, Real Housewives of Atlanta is on Mondays. Catch us for that. And I don't know for sure, but I believe we might be doing the Real Housewives of New York Legacy. Not Legacy. What is it? The reboot?
The new one.
You'll know. So whatever you want to know, just check our pages, check our Instagram,
subscribe,
Lean Official, Twitter, the Lean Official. Just check us out. Continue to support us. Follow us individually. If you want to have side conversations or get, do what you got to do. Not me. I'm just playing. No, you can do that. But thank you to all of our viewers this season. Thank you to everybody that participated in the debate today. Sean, S, Demisio, Ronnie, Art World, Chase, Deshay, Jessica, Sierra Conte, and Taylor. It was really fun, and maybe we'll have this more often for other shows. Maybe we'll have a Candy versus Marlo debate. I don't know, child. It may get ghetto. I don't know.
Someone may get shot. Someone may have an incident.
I may get shot.
Someone may have an incident.
I don't want to
say shot.
I don't want an incident. But
I'm from South Texas.
Be sure, if nothing else, we've had over 100 you guys watching consistently throughout this show. So that means you guys were very interested in tune. I'm glad it was a great show. Like this video, and subscribe to the channel. Until then, we'll see you guys next time. And y'all have a good night and a good week. Good night, y'all.